Okay, this is a short video on chapter 5.2, graphing quadratic equations using vertex form. Vertex form is y equals a times, in parentheses, x minus h squared plus k. One of the things that's really important to keep in mind is this pattern, which is minus h plus k. So again, that pattern minus h plus k is important because as you can see down here, plus 3 minus 1 doesn't follow the pattern. So since it's plus 3, not minus 3, then you have to do the opposite of that value, which is negative 3. Instead, since it's not plus k, but minus 1, and since it's not plus 1, but minus 1, then you have to do the opposite of the 1, which is negative 1. Again, that pattern, minus h plus k, is very important. Now, once you have that pattern, again, you won't be memorizing the vertex form of a quadratic equation. What you do need to know, however, is how to find the vertex and the axis of symmetry. So those are the two things that you're going to need. So the vertex is hk, and the axis of symmetry is always the x coordinate, so it's x equals h. All right, so those are the things that you need to have knowledge of, is the hk and the x equals h. Let's go ahead and continue with this problem. So we've got y equals, okay, so here's your problem. Y equals negative times, or negative 1 times x plus 3 squared minus 1. So we know our axis of symmetry is our x equals h. So it's going to be our x equals h. Well, h is negative 3, so x equals negative 3. I'm going to draw the negative 3 on our graph, and we're going to label it x equals negative 3. Then we're going to say, well, the vertex is hk, so we know that the vertex is h comma k, so that's going to be negative 3, negative 1. And so then we're going to plot that, negative 3, negative 1. We're going to label it. Our parabola is negative, so it opens, our parabola will be negative because the leading coefficient, is negative, which means it'll open down. So I'm going to go ahead and put negative 3, negative 1 up above, and we know that the parabola is going to open down. Okay, our third step is a table of values. This part is not new. You've always found tables of values for standard form. You even do it in intercept form, you just only have to find 2. As we look at the graph, there's a possibility 0 might work. I'm going to plug it in just really quickly to see if it will work. So 0 plus 3 is 3. 3 squared is 9. 9 times negative 1 is going to be negative 9, plus a negative 1 is negative 10. So 0 will work, nice and easy. So we're going to go ahead and write y equals negative 1 times 0 plus 3 squared minus 1. And then we have y equals negative 1 times 3 squared. I'm going to change this to plus a negative 1. And then we've got y equals 3 squared. 3 squared, which is 9 times negative 1, is negative 9, plus a negative 1, which is negative 10. So 0, negative 10. We're going to plot that. 0, negative 10 will be right here. We're going to label it. It's 1, 2, 3 from the axis of symmetry. We're going to reflect the other way. So it's negative 6, negative 10. So that's our next step, is to reflect. You'll find 2 points to reflect for 2 points. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and find another point. 1's going to be too big, so we can't go there. So we'll have to choose either negative 1 or negative 2. I'm going to choose negative 1. And so negative 1. You could choose negative 2. It would be fine. Times negative 1 times negative 1 plus 3 squared minus 1. Y equals negative 1 times negative 1 plus 3 is 2. 2 squared. I'm going to change that to plus a negative 1, just like I did in the previous one. Let's fix that, negative 1. And then we got 2 squared, which is 4, times negative 1, which is a negative 4, plus negative 1, to -5. So the ordered pair is -1, -5. We're plotting that. -1, -5. Reflecting it over the axis of symmetry, it's 2 to the right, so we go 2 to the left, which is -5, -5. We are going to connect those points. Make sure you make it U-shaped at the top. And now you have your parabola opening down, fits on the graph. These were your 4 steps. Okay, the next problem we're going to go to, I'm going to ask you to try on your own, and then you'll turn the recording back on and you'll check it. Okay, I've put the vertex form of the quadratic equation at the top highlighted for you. Y equals a times, in parentheses, x minus h plus k. Remember the pattern, minus h plus k, as you're filling in your h and k here. Your equation is 1/2, or y equals 1/2 times, in parentheses, x minus 3 squared minus 5. And then I'm going to also ask that you use graph paper to graph this. So, just going to get that graph on there. You'll want to graph this because you want to be graphing. This is partly graphing. So then you will go ahead and write your axis of symmetry, x equals h. We'll go ahead and highlight that. And then your vertex, which is hk, the ordered pair. And then your last 2 steps are to find 2 pairs with a table value, and the last step is to reflect to find 2 more points. Okay, go ahead and try it. When you're done, think you got it right, go ahead and check it. Turn the recording back on. Okay, here we go. A is 1/2, so the parabola is going to open up. H is 3, because it follows the pattern minus h, minus 3. And k is -5, because it does not follow the pattern plus k. It's not plus 5, it's minus 5, so it has to be -5. If the axis of symmetry is x equals h, then x equals 3. We have a vertical line that crosses the x-axis at 3. The vertex is going to be hk, so 3, -5, so 3, -5 labeled. Now, this one was a little more involved. If you'd chosen 0, which you might have done, you ended up with a bunch of fractional amounts. Likewise, if I had chosen 2, I would have ended up with a bunch of fractional amounts. So I chose to not end up with those fractional amounts, because if I can take half of an even number, then I'm good. So I chose 1, because 1 minus 3 is 2, 2 squared is 4. I knew I could take half of that. And then here I chose -1, so -1 squared, -1 minus 3 would be -4, squared would be 16, and I could take half of that. So both of them allowed me to take half and not end up with fractions, which is why I chose 1 and -1. But if you chose other things, you just had fractions you had to deal with. So 1, -3, 1, -3 labeled. 2 from the axis of symmetry on the left, reflected to the right, 2, and you get 5, -3. And then 1, when you plugged it in, you ended up with -1, 3. So -1, 3 is here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 from the axis of symmetry. We go 4 to the right side of the axis of symmetry and end up with 7, 3. Now we have our 5 points all labeled. Our graphing is complete.